Hey everyone, Nolar here, back on the 5-9 Gaming mobile channel, and today, 2021's behind us, and we're now looking forward to 2022. So, I brought along Gail, right? Gail, why don't you say hello to the beautiful people in 2022?
Hello everybody, happy new year. Hopefully everybody's having a good start of the year. There's still a long way to go, and here we are, already looking forward to the upcoming gachas.
Yeah, so we're going to be looking forward to what's coming out in 2022. There's been quite a few announcements and some release dates already, and more vague announcements here and there. Hopefully, some things that were announced in 2021 will actually come out in 2022. Demon Slayer. Now, before we get started, guys, of course, if you're new here to the 5-9 mobile channel and looking for all the notable, newsworthy things about mobile gaming, guides, all that kind of stuff, hit that subscribe button. And if you like the video, hit that like button and hit that sub button and all that kind of good stuff. And let's get started. Let's start off with the honorable mentions. Now, these are things that, you know, we kind of know that they're coming along, not a lot of details. So let's start off the top. Like I mentioned earlier, Demon Slayer. Gail, take it away.
Yeah, so we still have no information about it, hence why it is in the honorable mentions compared to the top 10. There, we have no idea where it's at. The last piece of information we got was actually the fact that it was getting postponed from 2028 to an indefinite date, basically. However, recent news, obviously some of you guys may have already heard about it, is that EVGO's publisher, Delightworks, or developer, I should say, publisher being Aniplex, but their developer, Delightworks, is now owned by Aniplex, and they're the same people actually publishing the Demon Slayer game. So it's very likely that Delightworks, or as they're now called, Last Engel, I don't know how to pronounce the new name that they've gone for, but they have a new name and everything, so it's very possible that Delightworks, or whatever they're called now, is going to actually help them out with Demon Slayer, and I feel that they've decided to completely rework it, hence why we've heard absolutely nothing from them. So it's possible that it could come this year. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it as well as pretty much every Demon Slayer fan, but we'll wait and see how that flies through. All right, next honorable mention we got is Goddess of Victory, Nike, or I'd say Nikkei, but it's actually Nike because like the brand. I'll take this one because clearly I'm a very big fan of Shift Up, which is the developers here. They are famously known for Destiny Child. Again, for all of our thirsty fans, they are definitely very, very well loved there. It's a pretty interesting gameplay. It's going to be kind of like a shooter-esque thing, but you're going from cover to shooting. So lots of stuff was released in the last month or two at the conference in Korea, and they said it's going to come out in 2022, and it looks fairly polished up, and so I'm looking forward to it. You know, again, I'm a thirsty boy. I like my drinks and when they come through. So we'll be covering that here on the channel as well whenever that gets announced. But yeah, 2022 is what it looks like, and here we go. Off to the next honorable mention, we've got K-Lab's JoJo and Danmachi games. Straight up just made by K-Lab. Anything else you want to fill in here, Gail?
Not anything else. We still have no information. These, alongside Demon Slayer, were actually announced, I think, in 2020. And of course, for those of you who don't know K-Lab, they're the people who make Bleach Brave Souls, of course. You know, very popular game, very popular gacha. I think it's on its like 5th year anniversary or 6th year anniversary at this point as well, right? It's pretty deep in. So they announced that they were making a JoJo's game and a Danmachi game. However, nothing has come off it, so we're just having to wait and watch. Of course, you know, a lot of people are clamoring for a new JoJo's game, of course, because every JoJo gacha game literally shut down this year, so, or the last year I should say at this point. So yeah, everybody's clamoring for a new JoJo's game. Danmachi, on the other hand, you know, we're waiting and seeing as well, because of course people have their thoughts on, you know, Memoria Freeze, which isn't the best gacha game, but it's something that suffices enough people. So it's curious to see where they can take the Danmachi franchise to as well.
Alrighty. On the next honorable mention we've got Octopath Traveler Champions of the Continent global release. Now, for those of you who have never played Octopath Traveler, it's kind of a pixel-esque RPG game, both on the Switch and on Steam. They take that IP and have published it into a gacha game, and it looks to be fairly good. Like, again, still the same kind of style of pixel art. And the biggest thing about it, again, is the story is supposed to be very well developed. Now, it's only been released in Japan. Square Enix has been found to make some trademark requests for this game in particular with the champions of the continent. And so that's where we're waiting to find out exactly, is that coming out soon? This might be preemptive to come out in 2023. But since the game's already got a good server and people are fairly happy with the game on JP, we're anticipating a global release anytime soon. So I'll leave it up to Gale to let you in on Tokyo Revengers. Go for it, Gale.
All right, so Tokyo Revengers, some of you guys know that as the season, as an anime that just went by. It wrapped up a couple of weeks ago. And it's getting a new gacha game. Of course, it's going to be a puzzle gacha game, hence why it's kind of in the honorable mention section. It's kind of like a, you know, kind of very puzzle-esque, your Candy Crush-esque kind of game. Nothing too crazy about it. But along with it, it's also got a second season. So they're gonna do something with the gacha side of things. Of course, you're gonna be able to summon for the characters in the anime and stuff. But the gameplay side of things is gonna be a bit more bare bones, a bit more puzzly, if anything. So yeah, we're having it in the honorable mentions for that particular reason.
Alrighty, and the last one before we go down on the list, fairly long honorable mentions, but Another X, the sequel to Another Eden. Fill us in, Gale.
Yeah, so this one was actually a bit of a surprise. I think it was only like a couple of days ago that we found out about it. But it is basically a successor to Another Eden. And on top of that, it is actually also going to be on PC and consoles. Now, we are still a bit uncertain on if it's going to have gacha elements, like, for example, how Genshin has, and they are on all, and it's on all consoles and stuff, right? But with it being the successor to Another Eden and whatnot, I think this is a great opportunity for WFS to potentially try and kind of do what Genshin did, where release on every console and implement gacha elements via that, therefore having a bigger market and bigger demographic of players. So definitely looks very interesting. I mean, some of the screenshots we've seen, it is fully 3D, fully fledged, and it looks kind of cool. It looks very cool. It's just going to be interesting to see if or not it will have gacha elements.
Alrighty, so that takes care of our honorable mentions list. Again, mostly things we have very little information about, or things that are barely on the imminent release. So that's honorable mentions. Now let's start off with our top 10. And at number 10, we have Tact OP. Yeah, I don't know anything about this IP, but I do know that it has a very fairly successful anime, if I assume correctly, right?
Yes, of course. It just had its anime season again in the fall season, and it was produced by Mappa and Madhouse, and its production, it was actually handled by Bandai and Dina. And I mean, that combination itself is probably something you should run away from the moment you see it. But we're having it in the top 10 because it had a fairly successful anime season. I think a lot of people are excited for the game as well. Obviously, the anime was more of a musical action show, which is kind of weird to say, but it was that basically. And I'm curious to see, because the anime, towards the end especially, it felt more like a promotional show to kind of hype up the gacha. So with them hyping up the gacha through the anime, it's going to be interesting, because there are other gachas that have done it. Uma Musume, Princess Connect, they've all had anime as well as gacha. So it's going to be interesting to see how Tact OP does as well. It should be coming out relatively soon. They've already started pre-registrations and stuff, which means that it should be around the corner. I would say probably 2 to 3 months away at most.
Yeah, so Tact OP, I mean, I haven't seen it. I did see the promotional video. It looks pretty interesting, so maybe I will venture into the anime and play the game when it comes out. So definitely stick to the channel to see more of that. Now, number 9, we have Heaven Burns Red. I recognize that this is coming from Right Flight Studios, who did the recent Slime game, and of course Don Machi. So maybe not the greatest track record, but I will say the art looks fantastic. It seems to be a turn-based RPG as well. Pretty typical for this, but it seems to be very interesting in the sense that the art style is distinct, and a bunch of waifus, all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. It's coming out, I think, in February, if I want to say that that's correct. I think pre-registration's already open. So we'll be definitely checking this out as soon as it releases. But yeah, Heaven Burns Red. quite interesting to see. It'll be obviously in JP only right now, but we definitely will be covering that. Okay, at number 8, we've got Girls Frontline 2. This is gonna be interesting because I was never got into the Girls Frontline franchise as a whole, but it's actually very popular based off the IP. They started to develop like 3 to 4 other games in different styles compared to the current Gacha style they have now in the map-based RPG that they have. So in Girls Frontline 2, this particular one is using that same IP, but bringing it to a like XCOM style gacha game, which is kind of unique because, again, what other way to play a game of strategy RPG and then more RNG upon RNG? Yeah, 99% chance to hit the target, but yeah, you're going to miss every time. So, I find it interesting because we haven't had any of that style of strategy RPG yet in the gacha space. I mean, we do have like a tower defense kind of like Arc Knights, but people are very much looking forward to this and seeing as this is the first spin-off of Girls Frontline, where there's like 2 or 3 other ones down the line developed for not just mobile but for PC and stuff. Everyone's looking very much forward to how this is going to play out. All right, for number 7. I will let Gail take it away and talk about the YuGiOh games. Gail?
Yeah, so of course, we got a lot announced last year for YuGiOh, surprisingly. We heard about Master Duel, of course, a lot of people know about that. That one we're still a little bit murky on if it's not a gacha or if it is even a gacha still, purely because we only know about the game having crossplay and the fact that it's got a lot of cards, every single gimmick that YuGiOh has had. But the other game that was actually announced as well that people have kind of let go under the radar and actually had a closed beta test very recently, I think it was in October itself, and we have a video on it on the channel, is Cross Duel. Cross Duel actually has a gacha element to it. It's a completely different mechanic compared to the normal YuGiOh playstyle as well, so it's unique in that regards, and the gacha rates were actually kind of good. Of course, it is the beta, things can change, but I think if both YuGiOh games end up being gachas, they will probably be, I would say at least Master Duel is going to be way popular compared to Duel Links in my opinion. Cross Duel will be probably a bit more of a niche gacha game for a lot of people, but I think it's still a good gacha game. I mean, again, like I said, if you want to check out gameplay, we have it. It's cool. I think I'm very excited for them. I'm very, very much excited for them.
Yeah, I personally haven't really got into the YuGiOh franchise. I mean, I remember it as a kid, watching some of the shows and stuff like that, and this might be the gateway drug for me to get into the franchise. So we're definitely looking forward to it. Definitely check out on the channel. We will be covering that for sure. All right, going into number 6, we have the global release of Disney Twisted Wonderland. Now, some of you guys might be thinking, what the hell are you talking about? So this has been out for a few years, I think, at this point on JP, but it's finally coming to global, and it's a kind of a story-based half RPG, half like rhythm game. That's the best I could tell you. And again, this is probably the only mention here that features primarily husbandos. That's essentially what this game is. So for your waifu-only lovers, maybe you want to skip this one. But I was told the story is really cool, very interesting. Obviously, it's only in Japanese, and I don't speak Japanese, but this is why everyone's been looking forward to it, because the story has been very much touted, and there's so many interesting new unique characters that they introduce here. So that's what we're looking forward to. So if you're more focused on a story-based gacha, you know, akin to like FGO and stuff like that, I'm not saying it's like amazing like FGO, but it will be a main focal point that, unlike most gacha players who hit the skip button, I admit I am one of those, you probably want to get into that. So yeah, the pre-registration is already open. So we're looking forward probably in Q1 of 2022. So
Jan 20th.
Be on the lookout. Oh, January. All right. So yeah, that's definitely coming up soon.
Couple of
so
weeks
we'll definitely
away.
be covering that.
Yep.
Yep. At this point. All right.
One thing I actually want to add on for those of you who are interested in it, it is also actually the person who's actually doing the script writing, the character designs, and the plan of the game is actually the creator of a manga run called Black Butler, which is a very popular manga run. I think it has 30 million copies in circulation. So if you know about him, hey, there you go. There's somebody, at least it's being run by somebody who knows what they're doing, I suppose.
Right. Okay. Moving on to the top 5 here. And number 5, we have Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. Gale, tell me all about it. Why should we be excited about this?
I mean, Ever Crisis, this has been a game that we've gotten announced ages ago. Like, it was like back in like May or something, I swear. And it's a mobile game. It's a mobile game based on the Final Fantasy series as a whole. So it's all the Final Fantasy VII stories. It's gonna have Crisis Core, Dirge of Cerberus. It's got the main Final Fantasy VII story, and it's all basically for you to play. But the gacha element is actually that you summon for some of the characters and stuff like that through the game. So basically it's like your generic mobile gacha game with a story, but the story is actually just the entire Final Fantasy VII series. So if you've never gotten into the Final Fantasy VII series or haven't been able to play it in some way, Ever Crisis is going to be the one for you because it also has gacha elements if you're addicts like us, basically.
Got it. So definitely something I'm going to be playing. Got it. All right. Yeah, guys, that'll be coming up sometime in 2022, and we'll definitely be covering that as well. Number 4, Hakka Impact Star Rail. Look, Hakka Impact is probably my favorite gacha of all time. The only downside to it is it just requires so much manual grinding. Of course, I've heard things have changed now. Maybe I will come revisit it, but PTSD, man, I'm scarred from how much grinding it takes. But this is a new spin-off. It's based in the realm of Hakka Impact, but not like you don't need to play the first Hakka Impact third to
it's an alternate universe, kind of.
Yeah.
Basically.
And right now in HI3, there's a few things that are like having their own separate storylines that kind of go from it. So this is going to be kind of a spin-off, a different style of game, turn-based if I remember right, Gil.
Yes, it's a turn-based gacha game, apparently featuring an open world. We still don't know because, of course, I do know that we had the closed beta test, but I've actually not seen any footage of it personally. Because, I mean, I know a lot of people actually streamed it, if I'm not mistaken. Even though technically MiHoYo requested that they don't, but you know how people are. So I haven't actually seen any footage myself. I have heard that it's open world. I'm not sure on it completely, to be honest, but I do know that it's turn-based. Looks very fascinating because this is MiHoYo's actually first attempt at a turn-based gacha game, if I'm not mistaken. Not sure about Tears of Themis, so I can't really say if it is. But yeah, compared to Hakka Impact third as well as Genshin, this is their first attempt at a turn-based RPG, as far as I know.
Yeah, I mean, we're making the assumption it's going to be coming in 2022 because they are doing closed beta, which means, you know, the timeline looks to be Q2, Q3 if they're, you know, following a standard timeline. However, given the state of the world now, things are being delayed, pushed, all that kind of stuff. It's reasonable to assume that it'll come out in 2022, but it won't surprise me if they do delay it. But definitely be on the lookout here on the channel because we will be keeping you guys up to date. It's going to be one of the most anticipated gachas of this coming year or the next year after that as well. All right. Going to the top 3, these are all going to be IPs you guys have heard of or know very well, much and dearly. Like number 3, the Full Metal Alchemist game. I think about 2 to 3 weeks ago, we got our first look at the like a promotional video. Though it had a cut of cutscenes, you know, the story, and some gameplay. The gameplay kind of looks like a fighting game, which is kind of interesting because the only other fighting games I can think of off the top of my head are like King of Fighters, All-Stars, you know, stuff like that. I mean, of course, Marvel Content Champions and Injustice 2. But the style kind of reminds me of the Demon Slayer, like the console game. So give us a little more information that you could think of here, Gale, about Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, we actually don't, I mean, outside of what you just said, we actually don't know that much about it, unfortunately. We just know that it's coming in this summer, 2022. So it could be anywhere between like April to like August, effectively, because Japan is kind of weird and that's their phrase of summer, basically. But we don't actually know much more about that. But I will say the cutscenes look really good. A lot of people were, you know, saying they weren't like hyping it up to the fact that it was like PS5 quality or anything, but it was like, you know, usual like proper like console anime game-esque cutscenes, which is really cool to see. And overall, like you said, it does remind me of a little bit of like a King of Fighters or like a Tekken Mobile. I don't know if people remember that game, of course, but it kind of reminds me of that a bit more. Obviously a lot better looking than the Tekken Mobile game. But yeah, I'm curious to see how they're gonna handle like the gameplay side of things and how like the gacha side will come in. Because whenever I think of a fighting game and a gacha, I just don't see it meshing together. Of course, King of Fighters has done it, so we'll see. We'll see, of course.
Yeah, again, fighting games are interesting. Inherently PvP, all that kind of stuff. We can have a debate and discussion about that all we want, but the quality looks very good, so I'm quite interested in to see whenever this drops. All right, let's head up to number 2, Black Clover. Now, I haven't watched the anime, read the manga. I know of it, but I don't know the franchise as a whole. But we got a 4-minute promotional video the other day, just showcasing, coming from the developers of Big Game Studios, which is Pearl Abyss company. So the Black Desert Mobile or Black Desert IP as a whole, they're the ones that develop it. It looks pretty good. The cutscenes that we've seen so far, again, looks like cel-shaded anime-esque cutscenes, but looks to follow the story. I don't know how much more of the gameplay there is. I think it's open world.
Yes.
So tell us a little more about it, Gale.
Yeah, so it is definitely, it looks like it's open world. Of course, it could just be like areas that are open world more than it being like a completely open world, right? More so, I think it'll be that than anything else. But another fun fact actually that is regarding this game is that the director of this game is actually one of the developers who was at the head of SDS Grand Cross. So you might see some elements from Grand Cross come over here. Hopefully not the monetization that Netmarble has. So that would be kind of good. But if there is, if we do get if the director is indeed from Netmarble, which he is, it's going to be interesting to see how much similarities we'll see between this game and of course Grand Cross. But yeah, it looks really good. I mean, of course, this isn't Black Clover's first rodeo into a gacha game. One of them being, of course, the Phantom Knights game that got shut down within like a year or something, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully this looks really good. So hopefully this does well. I'm very curious to see how this game does, because I'm not one who's a big fan of the franchise myself. I dropped it after like 20 episodes or so. I've heard it's gotten much better since then, so who knows, maybe I might actually get back into the anime as well.
Yep. So that is number 2, and we're gonna head off to number 1 right here. And our number 1 most anticipated gacha of 2022 is the Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade. Look, I hopped on later to the Jujutsu Kaisen train than most, but I thoroughly enjoyed the anime, and I'm actually reading the manga now. And so I'm very much hyped for this game. Gale, give me more. I want more. Give me more.
Yeah, all right. So Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade, of course, it's being created by the same people who made the Konosuba gacha game. And from first looks, it looks very similar. It looks like it's going to be a very similar, slightly offhand experience, which I'm kind of okay with. I don't know about you, Nolar, but I kind of don't mind that because, you know, with how many gachas we play, I'd prefer to have more offhand gachas than on-hand gachas, you know, stuff that I don't have to keep an eye out 99% of the time. I know some people got kind of disappointed by it and whatnot, but I think it's a great deal. And on top of that, based on the Konosuba gacha so far, I've not heard any problems with from people about it. Like, it's super, they're super generous. They give out a lot. They've had collaborations with other games and franchises as well. I think it's a positive thing. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how Jujutsu Kaisen does. Obviously, I think there's a less chance of collaborations within this game because Shueisha, Jump, you know how they are. They don't like, you know, sharing their, IPs that much. But hey, I mean, hey, it still could be positive. I'm very much looking forward to it. And I'm more interested in the gacha side of things. And I think, you know, as a franchise as well, it's going to be fantastic. But the gacha side of things is going to be very interesting, especially with, you know, there will be a lot of seasonal characters and stuff like that because Jujutsu Kaisen's cast isn't the biggest, but I think there's going to be a lot of like seasonal events and stuff like that. And that's one thing I'm very much looking forward to because I feel like sometimes some of these gachas just ignore the fact that seasonals and whatnot exist and they can take advantage of that and have like events and stuff. So very curious in that regards.
Yeah, again, it looks interesting in the sense that it's another turn-based, it seems like, but I thoroughly enjoyed the IP as a whole, right? Just the setting and all that stuff. So I mean, I'm already bought in, which I guess is assuming everyone else is too, because guessing on how well they've been doing in Japan, that seems like a good idea. So With that said, this is Gail and I. We've discussed our top 10s, and this is what we're anticipating for this year. Either way, no matter where it is as number 1 or number 10 or as an honorable mention, we will be here covering, doing the first playthrough, giving you our thoughts, and keeping you up to date as to what's going on with all the gacha games that are out in 2022. So if you're new here and want to be on the lookout for that, definitely hit that subscribe button just so you know when we come out with content like that. Anything else you want to say, Gail? Anyone you want to say is your number 1 most anticipated?
No, not really. I mean, I'm very much excited for all of these gachas to come out. I mean, you know, as the resident gacha nerds, basically, we are going to definitely be playing them on the channel. So if you guys have any other names interested as well, let us know in the comments. We'll definitely be looking out for them whenever they do arrive for us to play, basically.
Yeah, so guys, let us know in the comments below which one you're looking forward to, which one you think looks the best, has the most potential to succeed and become the next Genshin Impact, because everyone, that's what they're doing, right? They want to be the next Genshin Impact out there. So with that said, guys, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching, and we will catch you later. Gail and Nolar out.
Bye-bye.